The challenge issued. The core convergence hub was a marvel of neutral galactic diplomacy, part trade station, part research facility, part proving ground. Thousands of species moved through its alloy-lined halls, but today, all eyes were on the central forum. A challenge had been issued. Not a battle, but a test. A test of strength. Are all humans this delicate? Commander Vesk sneered. All four of his scaled arms crossed over his broad chest. His voice crackled through the translator, sharp and condescending. Your kind appears soft. Brittle. Corporal Jack Hayes didn't flinch. He stood with his hands casually in his pockets. Chewing a stick of gum like this was a backyard barbecue and not an interstellar showdown. I mean, I get it, Jack replied, glancing up at the towering Tharkin. You're big, you've got extra limbs, and I hear your people train by dragging boulders through molten caves. Impressive, really. But you ever deadlift a Ford truck during a flood while hypothermic? Vesk blinked, confused. What is a Ford truck? Jack smirked. Exactly. From the sidelines, Dr. Pilix observed the exchange with belly-contained excitement. The Lanari scientist's 3 eyes glistened as his stylus scratched notes across his tablet. This is ideal, he chirped. Direct comparison of physical capabilities under neutral conditions. A controlled test. For science. A spectacle, Vez corrected. Let the galaxy see how fragile Earth's champions truly are. News of the contest had already rippled across the galactic net. Human versus Tharkin. Bets were placed. Commentators speculated. Most assumed the human would last maybe 1 round, 2, if he was lucky. Jack wasn't concerned. Later, in the prep area, Jack suited up. His uniform was light, just enough to allow movement and support. No exoframe, no enhancers. That was the condition, baseline physiology only. The aliens couldn't believe Earth was sending an unaugmented participant. They called it arrogance. Jack called it Tuesday. A hologram flickered to life beside him, displaying his opponent's record, undefeated in 5 sectors, capable of lifting twice his weight in standard gravity, known for dismembering opponents in friendly tests. Looks like I'm the underdog, Jack muttered, cracking his knuckles. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Welcome to the Crucible. Today, we witness the first sanctioned cross-species strength evaluation between the Tharkin Empire and the humans of Sol 3. Cheers and roars erupted from alien crowds. Jack stepped into the light, squinting as the arena opened before him. Glittering steel, lead platforms, and a set of challenges built to break most species. Vesk was already there, flexing under the spotlights like a heavyweight champion. You may withdraw, human, the Tharkin offered, almost gracious. It would spare your species embarrassment. Jack rolled his shoulders, looked up at the stands, then back at his towering opponent. Nah, he said, grinning. I think I'll stick around. Let's give your galaxy a real show. The tests began. The arena transformed before their eyes. Metallic walls folded inward, and a series of platforms emerged, each layered with glowing panels and pulsing energy fields. The first challenge loomed, the Gravity Gauntlet. This test measures raw strength under increasing gravitational force, the announcer echoed. Each zone increases by 1 standard galactic gravity. Most competitors tap out at level 3. Few survive past level 4. Commander Vesk stepped forward first. With each advancing zone, his thick legs tensed and compensated. At level 5, he planted all 4 feet firmly and let out a guttural roar, flexing his chest. Applause thundered. 5 graves, the announcer barked. A new arena record. Then it was Jack's turn. He stepped onto the first pad. 1 gravity. Normal life. Easy. 2nd. 3rd. Sweat pearled on his brow, but his breathing stayed steady. 4th. His legs trembled slightly. 5th. A sharp weight dropped onto his spine like an invisible mountain. The crowd murmured. His boots creaked. Then, 6. Jack gritted his teeth and laughed softly. Reminds me of wrestling my cousin in a weighted vest. With a final step, he crossed into the 7th zone, a level untested by any species recorded. His back arched, muscles straining, lungs dragging in air like they were filled with lead. Silence. Then a shriek of alarms. 7 graves, Dr. Pilix whispered, his stylus frozen mid-air. That's not supposed to be survivable. Jack turned, gave the crowd a shaky thumbs up, and collapsed backward, grinning the whole way. Medics rushed in, but he waved them off. I'm good, just catching my breath. After a brief rest, it was on to the second event, the load-bearing challenge. Steel columns rose from the floor, each bearing a flat slab of condensed alloy weighing several tons. Competitors had to hold them aloft as long as possible. No supports, no brakes. Vesk stepped in, arms extended, muscles bulging. He lasted 1 minute, 32 seconds, before dropping it with a satisfying clang. Jack eyed the slab. You're kidding, right? This is lighter than an engine block. He positioned himself under the weight and lifted, slow, deliberate, shaking slightly. But the slab rose. Up, then steady. 1 minute. 2. 3. The crowd had stopped cheering. They were just staring. By 4 minutes, even Vesk looked unsettled. At 5, Jack let the weight crash down with a grunt, wiped his forehead, and muttered, Okay, that was hard. Final event, Organic Overpower. A genetically enhanced beast, part insect, part reptile, 10 feet tall and bred for pure muscle. No weapons allowed. The goal, subdue it. Vesk barely managed to restrain the beast with 2 extra arms and brute force. The fight ended in a draw. Jack, meanwhile, rolled his shoulders, cracked his neck, and stepped into the ring. The creature lunged. Jack ducked, slid beneath it, and wrapped his arms around its thick neck. He used leverage, momentum, and pure grit. 30 seconds later, the beast was pinned, wheezing under his knee. A hush fell over the arena. Jack stood, panting. That all you got? Breaking the limits. The med bay was quiet, save for the soft hum of scanners and the steady beeping of vitals. Jack lay on the exam table, shirt off, chest rising and falling slowly. Around him, a semicircle of alien scientists stared at the holographic readouts in disbelief. This must be an error, Dr. Pilix muttered, tapping his tablet in frustration. His adrenal surge spiked past safe levels for most species. His musculoskeletal stress index should indicate multiple ruptures. And yet, no tears, no breaks, no internal bleeding. Another researcher, a blue-feathered Avixi, peered over the data. He should be unconscious. Jack opened one eye. I can hear you, you know. Pilix blinked all 3 eyes. Are you experiencing hallucinations? Only the one where I thought I was retired from field work, Jack replied, sitting up with a wince. Guess not. News of his performance had already rippled across the station. Alien newsfeeds ran non-stop replays of the beast pinning, the gravity zone record, and his 5-minute lift under crushing pressure. On social feeds, humans were no longer called softworlders. The new trending tag was #DeathWorlderDominance. Still, there were doubters. This is deception, Commander Vesk growled in the diplomatic chamber later that day. No unmodified being from a standard gravity planet could withstand what he did. He must be enhanced. I volunteered for full biological screening, Jack said, arms crossed. Scan me. Swab me. Hell, dissect me. Wait, actually, don't do that part. The neutral arbitrator nodded. The scans show no signs of augmentation, no synthetic implants, no genetic tampering. He is entirely organic and entirely human. The room went quiet until someone suggested a final test. One that could not be trained for. One that had no advantage from technique, only endurance, adaptability, and sheer will. The Galactic Crucible. A simulation chamber modeled on asteroid mining collapses with shifting gravity, unstable debris, and minimal oxygen. Most competitors only lasted a few minutes. None had ever completed a full escape. Jack scratched his head. Sounds like a Tuesday in West Virginia. Within the hour, he was sealed inside. Crushing darkness. Jagged rubble. Pockets of air thinner than a whisper. Jack moved slowly, breathing in through his nose, conserving oxygen. He used a shard of metal as a lever, working through jammed doors and collapsed supports. His body screamed. His joints popped. Sweat dripped from his brow and steamed off his skin in the rising heat. But he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. 43 minutes later, the outer hatch exploded open. Jack staggered out, covered in grime, panting hard, but alive. He looked up at the crowd of stunned officials and scientists. "That was the test," he said hoarsely. "I've had hangovers worse than that." Commander Vesk fell silent. Dr. Pilek stared at Jack like he was looking at an entirely new species. "He is not simply strong," Pilek whispered. "He is built for survival." Jack grinned, eyes blazing. "We all are. That's what it means to be human." Aftershock. 3 days later, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Not for war, not for diplomacy, for one man, for humanity. Jack stood at the center of the grand chamber, ringed by 100 species, some floating, some towering, others practically vibrating with nervous energy. Massive screens replayed the highlights of his trials in silence. The 7th gravity walk, the alloy slab lift, the beast pin, the crucible escape. The footage had already spread across the galaxy, translated into 17,000 languages, studied in military academies, and dissected in scientific labs. The verdict was unanimous. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were feared. Chancellor Overin of the Vrel spoke first. His translucent skin shimmered as he addressed the chamber. "By unanimous vote, Earth has been reclassified. Effective immediately, Sol 3 is designated a Tier 1 survival world. Its inhabitants are recognized as apex-level endurance species." Murmurs swept through the chamber. Tier 1 status was rarely given, even to warrior empires. Jack raised an eyebrow. "So, we get a plaque or something?" Dr. Pilek stepped forward, holding a datapad. His earlier enthusiasm had been replaced with cautious awe. "We've run simulations. No known species, none, could have performed what you did without genetic enhancement. Your muscle recovery rate, your pain tolerance, your mental resilience under duress, it's not just strength. It's your biology, your psychology, your sheer refusal to quit." Jack shrugged. "Where I'm from, giving up's not an option. You fight, or you don't get back up." The Tharkan delegation, once smug, now stood solemn. Commander Vesk approached, lowering all 4 arms in a warrior's salute. "You have humbled my people," he said, "and earned our respect." Jack returned the gesture. No hard feelings, just a little friendly competition. A low chuckle rippled through the council. It broke the tension like sunlight through storm clouds. Later, as Jack prepared to return to Earth, reporters swarmed the shuttle bay. A dozen alien microphones floated near his face. "Corporal Hayes, what message do you bring back to your people?" Jack paused, smirking. "Tell them we're not as weak as they think." The shuttle doors closed. The engines fled. And just like that, he was gone. But the galaxy had changed. Across worlds, training programs were rewritten. Strength metrics were recalibrated. Species once proud of their physical power now studied human exercise routines, mountain hiking, park hour, even playground games. Earth's strange pastimes were suddenly strategic study material. In a lecture hall light years away, a hologram played Jack's crucible escape. A young alien student raised a tendril. "Teacher," it asked, "what if all humans are like him?" The instructor didn't answer right away. She simply stared at the screen and whispered, "Then the galaxy is not prepared." Jack leaned back in his shuttle seat, arms behind his head, grinning at the stars outside. Not bad for a species with no exoskeletons.